African Rainbow Minerals is a diversified mining and minerals company previously known as Anglovaal Mining. Its executive chairman and controlling shareholder is none other than Mr. Patrice Motsepe. The group has a price to earnings ratio of 14.8, a dividend yield of 2.4% and a market cap of 43 billion rand. And just looking at African Rainbow Minerals share price, obviously there we are seeing the same moves as we've seen on most of the diversified miners. Paul, your thoughts on ARM?
Well, I like it a lot. It's basically all the earnings currently anyway come from the iron ore businesses. So that's the old Assmang, their controlled stake, which is shared with Assore. It's the mines out in Sishen area. That's been great. Some of their other assets are worth mentioning. They've got some of those smelting things, that's in Cato Ridge and Mashadadorp. They've got some coal in there, they've got some platinum, they've got the Nkomati nickel mine out in the escarpment.
And they've got Patrice Motsepe.
And they've got 22% of Harmony. That's the only asset I don't really like. But yes, Patrice, extremely high profile, visible guy. And as I say, if you're positive about the mining complex and the direction of prices of commodities, then you've got to be positive on this one too.
Levan, how does this compare with the other diversified miners we've been speaking about?
It's very different from some of the other businesses that we've considered. Yes, as you've correctly mentioned, ferrous metals gauging probably the bulk of their income, but a very good, a generous allocation of income from coal, from gold, from platinum. So it does form the label diversified miner. I don't believe the share price justifies the potential of this business. It certainly has a lot of upside potential when you consider the China story, the requirement for iron ore. So I think this is a good business. Maybe somewhat too much of exposure to ferrous metals at this stage.
At 43 billion, with all the consolidation that we're seeing in the mining industry at the moment globally, is this a potential target?
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it would probably need to acquire both this and Assmang, which would be a big, big check for anyone. Obviously, you know, Kumba, Anglo are out there in that same area. Maybe. I mean, there is perhaps a build culture in iron ore. You might argue, well, rather than Rio or Exxaro or Xstrata or any of those people adding extra production assets in iron ore, why don't they look at this one? I suppose so. And Patrice is very open to transactions, I understand. I think the interesting thing here is this is a South African-oriented company, where some of those other companies are more global players that have downscaled their South African exposure. Patrice is not worried about his relationships with the government, that you can say for nothing. So he's obviously of the view that this is where you want to be focused. The question is, though, whether the foreign investment community will give it the same value as it would a Cord Billiton.
And
at the
what's
moment,
the answer
to that is no.
No.
I mean, Africa and mining in Africa is viewed rather dimly at the moment with regard to the regulatory burden.
Hot or not, Levan on ARM?
I say it's not.
Yes, you can tell me the reason why.
I think it's far too South African concentrated. Unfortunately, we've seen a lot of strike action with some of its peers, and I also think it's got too much of exposure to just one particular industry.
Hot or not, Paul?
Again, I think iron ore prices are going to stay high, and if that's the case, then this one's going to go higher. So I'm happy to call it hot at this level.